My question, perhaps is a thread that you've all been talking about, is it's a wonderful story, and is there one theme from that you should walk away from this exercise or activity that it is intended to give us? Or is it really just the well-rounded, there are so many different elements of leadership?
I'll ask the guys to answer, but no, we don't. We want you to make your own decisions on what value this has, if it has any. You're all very competent, successful leaders. We get that. What we're showing you here is a case study in flesh and blood of another leader whose capabilities and competencies were the same in 1921 as they are today in 2011. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We all know that you try to be as authentic as possible every single day for your people, because that authenticity rings louder than any other leadership bell that you're going to ring. So it's really about what you choose to take away from it. We don't tell you to take away anything. We try to make, as Tom pointed out, we try to make associations and distinctions so that you can make those decisions for yourself. We don't hit anybody over the head. We give you the truth, the honesty of it. We make connections where we can. We try to align ourselves with building great leaders as best we can where the story allows us to. And then we say, now that the rest is up to you. Does this have value for you? So I'll ask Mark.
I mean, for me, it's not about bullet points. It's about something your mind and your heart. Is that the idea of doing something in 3 dimensions, a real story, real people on stage, is hopefully something that's going to sort of ferment a little bit. What Beth often says is, take some time after this, you're driving home, turn off the radio, turn off the phone, whatever it is, take some time to sort of let it settle, let it see what's relevant to you. It's going to be different for every single person in this room. And as Scott said, maybe it's not relevant at all. And if that's true, let people know.
Let leadership know.
Let leadership know. That's important.
If
there's something that doesn't resonate in terms of the Captain Scott issue. But I think our goal with it was to bring a real story, real leadership under challenge, under stress, how he solved these various issues. It's not about bullet points for us. It's about how it sits in your heart and ultimately sort of fuels your spirit. The thing about Shackleton for me is that he treated everyone as an individual. And you're talking about the female approach to leadership. I think a mom or a sister or an aunt sometimes is better at reading somebody, knowing exactly how to handle that person in that situation on that day. So that's perhaps one thing for me personally.
Jim, there's a question in the front. But
yeah,
Jim,
another one in the corner.
Okay.
I think that, and I know we could stay here all night. My perspective on what the guys are talking about here is that, for me, one of the values for leaders in a program like this is that it does go beyond the facts and figures. And I think there's a message of encouragement here for every leader, actual leader, current leader, potential leader. And that is, you can be as great a leader as you decide to be. You have the capability of looking around you. Most of you have been on the planet long enough that you have in your head examples of people you think are great leaders and examples of people you think fall short as leaders. And you know what characteristics both of those people have. And you choose as an individual what you're going to emulate. Whose legacy are you going to be part of? That's a choice that we all make. And I think that's one of the encouraging things about a program like this, is it shows people that there is that choice. You can make that choice.
Which would be great today. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I think one of the most powerful statements in your character was a statement about trust. And I think you needed their trust.
Yes.
In your research on Shackleton, I mean, it's one of the most valuable resources that he had.
Yes.
He had that trust connection, trust in each other, trust in Shackleton.
Right. He said it over and over.
Did he ever talk about how he measured that, or how, from day to day, the ebb and flow, trust?
It was really the way that those words, well, most of the words, by the way, that I use today were all Shackleton's words. Very rarely would I add something. Usually I would add a bridge to get from one thought to another, but mostly every word that you heard today was Shackleton. he measured the level of trust in the men that the men had in him by the way the men would respond to him. That's all. And he did his best to invest in each individual every day. And he did his best to build confidence, because he used to always say he didn't need them to have confidence in him, he needed them to have confidence in themselves. He said that all the time. He wanted them to trust that he was looking out for their best interests, that he was always putting them in a position where they could at least succeed on some level. He was always looking out for the nutrition, the safety, the things that surrounded them. And then he, all he asked of them, if you will, every day was for them to reach their own high standards. That's what, anytime somebody didn't reach their standards, he would ask them if something was affecting them. And I think that's how he built trust. He never said, hey, that didn't get done correctly. He would say, wow, normally your standards are so-and-so, such, such, and such. Today they're such, and such. What's different about today? You know, that kind of thing. That's the kind of investment that he would make. But that takes time. And a lot of the leadership situations that you guys face, you don't have that luxury. Time is not a luxury that is afforded you every day. But sometimes you have to make that time to build that trust.
In the corner.
So a two-parter. I'm curious, the 22 men that were left behind.
Yes.
When they were waiting, did the structure and the morale and the camaraderie that Shackleton helped build stay in place even after he left? Because that's maybe the best testament to his leadership. Is
Yeah.
He was gone and stayed. And then the second question is, if you were going to point a person to one particular book on Shackleton so they could kind of start this journey, which one would it be?
Yeah, we get that. We get both of those questions almost every single Building Great Leaders session. We get those two questions. Shackleton, the 22 men that were left behind were left under the leadership of Frank Wild, who was the first mate, second in command, if you will. Frank Wild had the most experience of anybody in the ship's company, aside from Shackleton himself. Every single morning, Frank Wild would wake the 22 men up with these words: "Right, boys, the boss is coming today, lash and stow." Lash and stow would mean they would have to collect their gear, lash it together, stow it all in one place in preparation for Shackleton coming to rescue them. If Shackleton didn't rescue them by the time the evening meal would roll around, they would unpack everything again and retire for the evening. So every day there was the expectation that Shackleton would come, and eventually he did. And when he did come, they had lashed and stowed. It was a good thing because they only had a 2-hour window to get all the men off the island before the ice closed in on Elephant Island again. So Wild was brilliant. I mentioned Wild earlier. Wild would always say, don't fan the fire of doubt. Or don't fan the flame of doubt, it will become the fire of fear. So Wild was great at managing doubt, great at it. So he was the perfect person to leave behind. Shackleton gave him a written contract on what to do in case he didn't return by X amount of time. So they left nothing to chance. I've read everything there is possible to read on this man. And I've seen every possible documentary, etc., film that's been made.
There's a Kenneth Branagh miniseries, and it's a 3-parter. If you have on Netflix or something, it's one thing to look for.
Yeah, just called Shackleton. Brilliant. But there are two resources that I recommend. The Alfred Lansing book, which is called Endurance, is really the book that everyone looks to. It tells the story very simply and looks at the leadership competencies very simply and lets you make the decisions, which is what I love about it. The other book is also called Endurance, and it was written by Captain Worsley. Captain Worsley was with Shackleton from beginning to end. And Shackleton's book, which is called South, is as dry as toast. Shackleton was not into blowing his own horn or